Appeal on that provincial court ruling that allows possession of small amounts of marijuana. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Police Department says officers will continue to crack down, and fuming potheads staged a smokeout this afternoon in protest.
So marijuana is definitely not only legal in British Columbia, but it's legal in all of Canada. So let's hear some.
And with that, the leader of the BC Marijuana Party lit up a 15-gram joint. Marc Emery and his supporters were trying to smoke out the Vancouver police.
I'm going to do so to demonstrate my criticism of the Vancouver police, who have claimed that they will let their officers use their discretion in enforcing the obsolete marijuana prohibition laws.
Well, far from being smoking mad, officers simply walked away.
I actually think we're going to be okay. We have our 18th good luck city in the row. Well, ultimately, it's a social problem that has to be dealt with, and Parliament's clearly always trying to dodge it. And I think that's intentional. I think Parliament would love nothing more than the Supreme Court to make marijuana legal, and that's what they could tell the Americans. There's nothing we can do about it. Hi, folks. How you doing? Glad you all can make it. I don't know if Hi, folks. My name's Marc Emery. And as you might know, I've already toured 17 cities across Canada, smoking out police departments all across the country to demonstrate what we have finally realized is true in British Columbia, is that marijuana is legal, and furthermore has been legal since July 31st, 2001. And notwithstanding that the highest judicial body in Canada, the Ontario Court of Appeal, found that marijuana would no longer remain a criminal offense, marijuana possession a criminal offense, after July 31st, 2001. The decision was agreed to by the federal government and therefore not appealed. So the highest judicial body that could have possibly heard this case has already ruled. The Supreme Court will not hear this case because the government declined to appeal it. So marijuana is definitely not only legal in British Columbia, but it's legal in all of Canada. So But finally, even though marijuana has been legal to possess in Canada for over 2 years, the government has nonetheless pressed 75,000 personal possession and cultivation prosecutions since that time, all of which must be overturned. They were all unlawful prosecutions. 75,000 Canadians have been charged and in many cases convicted for an offense that is no longer an offense known to law, to quote both Judge Patrick Chen and Justice Rosenberg of the Ontario Court of Appeal. Marijuana possession is not an offense known unto law. And later on I'll be reading the sections of the current Judge Chen, a provincial court judge, an educated man who is presiding in New Westminster, and I'm here to smoke this joint. This 15-gram joint. I'm going to smoke it with myself and all who want to partake in it at 4:20, and I'm going to do so to demonstrate my criticism of the Vancouver police, who have claimed that they will let their officers use their discretion in enforcing the obsolete marijuana prohibition laws. Now, I've seen Vancouver Police Department's discretion. They've taken drug dealers and they beat them up in the park. That's what some officers consider legitimate officers' discretion. Let's just take them and beat them up in the park and leave them there. I've seen cops, I've heard of cops, I've read of cops murdering, hassling her. I've seen cops trash homes. I've seen judges reprimand endless number of police officers, but not one of them has ever been fired from the Vancouver Police Department. Giving police officers discretion over the law is a dangerous thing and should never be encouraged. And therefore, we're going to smoke marijuana here. And even though the Crown is appealing to the BC Supreme Court, which is a great thing, because the BC Supreme Court will look at Judge Chen's decision and they will validate that the decision by Judge Chen is the most authoritative, well-researched decision thus far. And it will stand in the BC Supreme Court, and that will bind all courts, all police, the solicitor and attorney generals from that point forward into not pursuing any more marijuana possession offenses. And that will be a great day.
How do you feel then that this decision is being appealed to a higher court?
Well, it has to be appealed to a higher court so it can be legally and authoritatively binding on all the courts in British Columbia. Judge Chen's decision will still be binding in almost every court. He was asked very specifically. He didn't get a possession charge to deal with. Before that, you can go to a judge, and under Section 601 of the Criminal Code, you can ask a judge to ascertain if, in fact, a charge that's been laid is, in fact, a criminal offense. And Judge Chen analyzed all 20 cases relevant to this. He analyzed the ones that did not go in favor of it in Alberta and Saskatchewan and one in BC, and he analyzed 6 decisions that have authenticated that there is no marijuana law. He spent 4 or 5 weeks studying this. His is the most authoritative look at this issue.
Still, it's not binding because it's not, it's up to a provincial court judge the next time he or she has to deal with a case like this.
And next time
it's not binding on that judge.
Every provincial judge will look at this and they will refuse to. You will not see any more marijuana possession cases in any British Columbia courtroom.
You can't guarantee that.
I absolutely assure you, no judge is going to deal with a marijuana possession case with this judgment before him. If he reads this judgment, no judge is going to proceed forward with any marijuana possession. It is influential, and it is very influential, and it will be something that every provincial court judge adheres to.
Other lawyers, like even John Walters, who has been involved in several marijuana test cases.
You mean John Conroy?
Pardon me, John Conroy, who's been involved in several marijuana test cases, has said that this is not binding, and that there is a lot of confusion still out there.
No, this verdict, this decision, clarifies, not confuses. It clearly indicates. Remember, the Ontario Court of Appeal was the highest judicial body that could hear this. They all unanimously ruled there was no longer going to be a marijuana law after July 31st, 2001.
So
and furthermore,
you say that the proposition law hasn't been valid since what year again?
July 31st, 2001, throughout all of Canada.
And you're saying that's because of the Ontario Court of Appeal decision?
That's right.
Okay.
And it binds because the Crown agreed with the verdict. They didn't appeal it, so therefore it has never had an opportunity, will not have an opportunity to go to the Supreme Court of Canada. But the important thing is the government agreed with the verdict. They have no excuse but themselves to blame.
And that's why Patrick Chen here says that the laws will have no force in effect.
And as he said...
Is that because of the Court of Appeal decision?
Absolutely. The Ontario Court of Appeal decision was clear, unequivocal, unqualified, unconditional, and unrestricted in its application to all citizens of Canada. And that was a deliberate piece of... that they had struck down it for that reason. It was to motivate the government to pass a new medical marijuana law. They agreed to do so, and they failed to do so. What's really important, too, is that the Vancouver Police Department, on the day of this announcement, had the Consul General of the United States in their very media headquarters, in their press conference. They were literally handing over their press conference to the U.S. government, a foreign power. And I dare say that it's an act of treason for the Vancouver police to repudiate their own judges. An educated person appointed by the Attorney General has been repudiated in favor of the U.S. Consul General, who has taken over the Vancouver Police Department. I mean, these are the people that are giving John Walters has had his own personal tour by Casheed of all the different spots in town. The Vancouver Police Department cannot bend over far enough backwards to kiss the ass of the U.S. drug czar and all his minions who seem to hang out here as their second home in Canada. It's appalling that Vice Consul Arira was here to condemn a Canadian judge's decision, which is crystal clear, that marijuana is legal. And I'm sure we can expect more interference from the United States. Remember, 250,000 people are in jail for marijuana around the world at any given time. 150,000 are in jail at any given time in the United States. We have nothing to learn from the United States. They're a Nazi, backward, right-wing, Southern Baptist dictatorship in the United States. And we have to set a strong example for Canadians to show America that we have a more tolerant, humane way of adjudicating the marijuana issue than they do in the United States, which is a matter of imprisoning everybody they can get their hands on. And if you get a 5-year felony conviction in the United States for marijuana cultivation, you lose the right to vote for the rest of your life. So you won't even be able to vote against the people that have incarcerated you and punish you. We don't want to see those kind of laws here in Canada. That's what the Canadian Alliance wants. That's what Paul Martin wants. And there's been a Paul Martin Sr. or Jr. in government for the 35 years that we've had 1 million Canadians arrested and convicted of marijuana possession in the last 35 years. 1 million Canadians have been convicted of marijuana possession in the last 35 years. That is the biggest national scandal, and it's all over now because marijuana is legal.